Kia ora tātou, and thank you to all of our presenters today who have also joined this live Q&A session. As you know, the theme of today's agenda is the digital transformation of K-12 education. I will firstly start by introducing Steve Budd from Code Avengers, who presented on what's required to prepare today's students for tomorrow's opportunities. Not an easy problem to solve, but Steve is also joined by his colleague Jordan Herbert, who will help to answer the questions as they come through. Kia ora, Steve and Jordan. Steve is also joined by his partner as well, Miyuki, who can help to translate any questions should they come through in Japanese. We then have Education Perfects Director Tim Vaughan, who showcased how to leverage technology in the education sector during this COVID disruption. A really informative session for a lot of our partners across Asia. So kia ora, Tim, great to have you with us today. And finally, we're also joined by Saranga Ninayakara, an Associate Professor at the Auckland Bioengineering Institute of the University of Auckland. Saranga is the head of the Augmented Human Lab there, and his team have been developing some world-leading projects, including the Curious Learning Tool for school students in New Zealand. Kia ora to you, Saranga, as well. So I am going to start, there's a question that has come through to Code Avengers, so we'll start there. And the question is very interesting. I want to cooperate with you in this program. Please email me. So we've got an email address there. So see if you can take that down to follow up. But there's a couple of questions here, and perhaps I'll start with you, Saranga. You obviously talked in your presentation about enabling the students through the tool. There's a question here: how does Curious help to improve time management for science teachers?
That we realized while co-developing this with some of the teachers is that more than the time management, the one of the challenge they have is the confidence and the tool. So they do spend quite a bit of time preparing for lessons and gathering all the materials, and in a way that we have developed a set of resources for them, including lesson suggestions, videos, tutorials, challenges that will ease their workload in terms of preparation, and that will contribute towards them thinking more about the lesson overall plan for the term rather than spending so much time on building materials. And we also did it in a way that it's not overly prescribing. It gives the teachers enough space for them to add in the lessons and the content they want, but we are giving them a lot of basic materials to have a jump start. And I hope that way we are also contributing to lessen their workload.
All right, thanks, Saranga. There's also a question. Curious has expanded nationally in New Zealand. What are your plans to explore other partnerships across Asia? Has this been planned at the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I started the very bits and pieces of this at MIT when I was a postdoc. And my ambitious goal is to make this just like how Scratch became the platform for supporting computational thinking. I have witnessed Mitch Resnick, how he does that at the High Low Tech, at the Lifelong Kindergarten Group. And I want Curious to be the platform that enable kids to do science, have fun with science, and unleash their curiosity. So I've already taken steps to, scratch the surface, taking it outside New Zealand. For example, now the sensors are with Mitch, and we have connected with Scratch to the entrance to that huge platform as well. I've been talking to a few partners in Singapore. So who knows, in the next couple of years, we'll be out of, at least out of New Zealand, and starting to enable kids outside New Zealand as well to experience the Curious science learning platform.
Great. Well, all the best for that, Saranga. I've seen some positive feedback already coming through the questions. Some more questions here, and I'll head over to Steve and Jordan. You talked about how Code Avengers has been built with teachers in order for them to help navigate this new world. For those teachers that are watching now, there's some questions. Are you able to share some of the feedback you've received from their peers about your programs?
I think I'll answer this one. Yeah, over to you, Jordan, mate. All good?
So I guess a lot of the feedback we've initially received has been here in New Zealand. The tool was built by teachers, so we have a core team here at Code Avengers. They're all qualified teachers. They've all taught in classrooms. And so when they built Code Avengers, they really had in mind what they needed as teachers. And so a lot of the feedback we get from teachers has led our development with things like, already made lesson plans, analytics, reporting, all those kind of tools and supports to help teachers focus on teaching and spend a lot less time on maybe some of the tedious things that come along with reporting and preparing those lessons. So our biggest feedback from teachers is helping them cut down on that paperwork and really focus on teaching their students in their classes.
Awesome. Kia ora, Jordan. One more perhaps for you as well. How does Code Avengers keep up with the technology which continues to evolve so quickly?
That's a very good question. I guess one of the core fundamentals of Code Avengers is that all of our content is produced in-house. So we don't outsource any of our content creation. That same group of teachers who are specialize in digital technologies and computer science, they're also the core of our team that creates all the content. And so that content, obviously, as programming languages are updated, or new technology is released, our team is able to quickly update or create new courses to meet those ever-changing needs in the classroom.
Awesome, thank you. And I guess another question related to that, I imagine the students, they learn so quickly, I imagine. Are they challenged enough when I guess there's other opportunities for them to do their own learning outside the classroom as well?
Definitely. I'd say one of the greatest advantages of Code Avengers and the way we've created it is it covers the K through to 12, I guess you could say, framework of schooling or education. So those students that are quite bright, there's obviously a lot of students that are really young and are doing some really amazing things already programming. Because we have content that covers such a large range all the way from K through to 12 and up, those students that are excelling, they can go on to higher levels and do learn more complex things, and at the same rate, so that those students that maybe need a little bit more help, we can also scale them down and start them at some of the lower level courses until they catch up to the rest of their class. So scaling and adjusting the difficulty depending on the students, whether they're excelling or maybe need a little bit more help, is possible with Code Avengers.
Great, thanks, Jordan. I'll come across to you, Tim. Similar to what Steve and Jordan have talked about around the co-design with teachers, I know that you also work very closely at Education Perfect. Can you expand a little bit more? You talked in your presentation about the professional training that you deliver for the schools. Are you able to share a little bit more information on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And great to be here, by the way. I've really enjoyed the other presentations. I think, picking up on some of the things, certainly the way in which Code Avengers talk about their almost a co-creation model of how they build the platform. I think that's really, really critical in education. You need to really stay close to your users. And I think one of the things that we saw quite early on when we started, which was 2007, so quite a while ago, from an ed tech standpoint, was that there were a lot of solutions that were looking for problems, if that makes sense. And so you see tools that don't fundamentally help a teacher in the classroom, or there's a significant amount of education the teacher would have to do to understand how they adopt the tool. And we found that actually that's just not possible because teachers are already extremely busy. And so making the adoption of the platform really, really easy at sort of a base level, and then helping them grow with the platform, that's really key to getting them to use the platform effectively. And so linked in with that is really our professional development. And so we hire teachers. Generally, they're already evangelists of Education Perfect from schools that are using the program. And it really means that they've got a familiarity with the platform. They have had experiences of what has worked and also what hasn't worked as well. So they can talk quite pragmatically about the merits of how they've implemented it. So that's really a cornerstone, I'd say, of what we do is regular professional development for schools, both to ensure that they're up to speed with how they use the platform, but in turn, it's a feedback loop for us so we can continue to develop it in a way that's appropriate and actually adds value.
Great, thanks, Tim. There's another question here, which we at Education New Zealand get asked very often across the region. Would a platform like Education Perfect ever look at delivering New Zealand qualifications on the platform obviously at a later stage, or Code Avengers as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great question. Thank you, whoever asked that. I think when I think of accreditation and qualifications, I think one area that we're particularly interested in now, and we're seeing it become more and more prevalent, is this idea of micro credentials or nano credentials. And so rather than thinking of a learning journey as being a high stakes exam, I think COVID, if anything, has forced schools to find evidence of a student's learning over a period of time. And so that's really interesting because it really starts to challenge this idea of work all year towards 1 or 2 high stake exams, and then that's the plumb line of success. And so I think sort of trying to look beyond like 2021 and the current time frame that we're in, I think there's going to be a growing appetite to understand students learning on a regular basis, point in time, and then measuring that growth longitudinally over a time period. And I think nano credentials, micro credentials potentially could be a really good fit there. So it's certainly something we're reading up about. We're talking to lots of people about. I suspect, it'll take a while for the education system as we know it within K-12 to start recognizing some of that. But I think the other major thing you're seeing here is that you've got parents that are actually starting to expect more than just a school qualification. They're wanting to see how the bridge can be built between what their child is learning now and how that's going to get them ahead in the real world once they walk out the school gates for the final time.
All right, thanks, Tim. A question, well, probably for both you at Education Perfect, but for Code Avengers as well. Are you? We've just got a couple of minutes left, but are you able to provide this? Obviously, teachers, school leaders online who are looking for a bit of an overview on what the subscription models or pricings are for individuals, schools, corporates. I think we've got 2 minutes, just over 2 minutes, but if you can give a quick overview, that'd be, I'm sure, well appreciated by the audience.
I feel like I've answered a lot of these questions. I'll let you do this one, Guy.
Steve, do you want to answer this one, or do you want me to?
Yeah, you guys for Jordan. Yeah, good.
Yeah, so I guess the subscription model for schools is, I guess, quite straightforward. We do have a licensing model for, I guess you say, classes and smaller groups of students, but we also have what we call site licenses. So it's just a single purchase. That site license will depend on the size of the school. And also depending on the region, we do have slightly different pricing here in New Zealand. World.
Yeah, I'd say the
best way to find out would, especially for Asia, Steve's kind of like the, not kind of like, he definitely is the person that's overseeing our operations in East Asia. So we can probably answer that question a little bit more detailed together with Steve to get some specific pricing based on whatever country you're in.
Cool. Thanks, Jordan. And I think we've got the contact information that's been presented on the slides as well. Tim, I know we're running quickly out of time. Is there an easy way to get in touch with you or Education Perfect to find out that information?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a large team in different parts or in different areas around the world. So email support@educationperfect.com and they'll point you in the right direction. It's also on the end of my presentation there, contact details. But happy to talk through pricing and a little bit more about what utilizing Education Perfect can look like in your respective area.
Great, thanks, Tim. And I know there's, like I said earlier, there's been some really positive feedback on Curious and Saranga's project as well, and his information has been shared. But thank you, everyone. It's been a great session. I know we've got another one a little bit later this afternoon, so we'll hopefully answer some more questions then. Kia ora.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Ngā mihi anō e ngā iwi katoa. He rā
a lot out of it as well. Our thanks to you